VBL is back and VBL4 specifically starts this weekend. Big thank you to our presenting partners, Greenline, who are partnering VBL this year. We've had 4 iterations of the VBL and sections 1 and 2 start this weekend. And if we're going to do a preview show, I may as well welcome up my buddy, the 18 commentator from the past and the guy who created the VBL, Jimmy Whitehead. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hey, mate. How you keeping?
Good, thank you.
It's pumped to be back. VBL, it's probably my favourite event on the BV calendar. So to see it going from strength to strength each year and to see the calibre of some of the lineups for this season, it's really exciting, mate. And tough to pick a winner, but we're going to try to do it.
Yeah, it should be good. I'll do a little event recap just for those who may be joining us for the first time or are not aware of the VBL yet. 4 sections of 4, and all those teams compete with 5 players. They can bring an extra player along each weekend, and some of the teams have imports or marquee players. In every round, there is a pairs and triples, followed by singles and fours, with each discipline earning 3 points. The team with the most points after the 4 legs earns 10 game points. If the teams are equal on game points, which means that's 2 legs each, then it'll go back to shots. And then the winner who's got the most shots will get the 10 game points. And then if a team happens to win all 4 legs, they get a 5 bonus points. So that's there's a lot to be done. Teams can lose their first 2 games and still have a chance to get through. As mentioned, the top 2 teams from each section will progress to finals weekend, which will be played at the Moama Bowling Club on Friday the 29th and Saturday the 30th of August.
Just one more thing to add there, JT. What about the penalty shootout?
Well, if we get to that, that'll be good. We get to worry about that during the commentary, during the event. We normally have 15 franchises, and we do have 15 franchises. And one of our teams of the 15 teams included in the VBL is the Victorian Storm, our all-girls side. And it'd be great to see them representing from their Victorian state side. And we also have the VBL qualifiers, and this year's inclusion from the VBL qualifiers is the MCC. We'll talk more about them in the second preview show. However, let's start with section 1, or as I'd like to call it, the section of death. And that includes Deer Park, Ocean Grove, Traralgon, and Yarraville Footscray. We'll start with Deer Park, last year's winners, Jimmy.
Yeah, as you called it quite rightly, mate, section of death. This is 4 teams that you could quite easily be tipping to win the comp overall. But yeah, starting with Deer Park, another formidable lineup. Year on year, they bring back really good talent. Obviously, Mark Casey won it all in previous years. But yeah, rolled it back the last few years and obviously picked up the title with Deer Park last year. Bushy's good friend and coach down at Deer Park, Brenton Code, in that lineup as well. And then the addition of Todd Traralgon this year, which is very exciting. He's a player who's gone deep in VBLs before. Obviously made the move over for Pennant this year to Deer Park. So really excited to see him get some opportunities. I'll be interested to see how they're using the singles out of this, because there's probably arguably 4 very good singles players there. Who do you reckon they'll go with?
Yeah, funny enough, I reckon they'll go with their import Cohen Liffin, and it's an interesting one because Cohen plays Pennant for Yarraville Footscray, who are in this section. You know, you could argue he may be Yarraville Footscray's best Pennant permit player, and he's playing for Deer Park in this event. I also think the loss of Matty Bouse, who was last year's MVP, will hurt him as well too. As mentioned, they're very formidable. But I do see them going really, really well, Jimmy. And for me, I've got them going to the final still.
Yeah, it's hard to not tip them to go that far. They'll get out the section, and I'll sort of leave it at that. I probably won't go much deeper in predictions of that. But if they get out of this very strong section, mate, then you wouldn't want to play them in any other round. Very good team on paper.
The second team we'll discuss this evening is Ocean Grove. Their players include Tyson Cromie, Matt Flapper, Anthony Flapper, Brad Pavey, Peter Lowe, and Zach Abro. They made the finals last year. Jimmy, what's your scope on this team?
Yeah, made finals both years. They played VBL, so 2 and 3. Again, very strong players that know each other. They're all Ocean Grove-based players. Obviously, Ant Flapper from Essendon, but goes down and plays and permit down there. Again, I could tip these to win the whole thing. In a very tough section, they're going to have to start very well. Again, it'd be interesting to see who they're using the singles leg. We know that sort of dictates what happens in VBL. But with both flappers in a team, you're going to back them to win more games they're going to lose. So, yeah, as good as it gets on paper as well, mate. But coming out of these sections, not going to be particularly easy.
Yeah, look, I think it's probably nearly the best team on paper. You've got 3 current state players, 2 ex-state players, like Peter Lowe's played over 200 games in Victoria. Obviously, Zach's an up-and-coming player for Ocean Grove. They have flexibility. People can play in different spots. I reckon Tyson Cramey will definitely play singles, Jimmy. He's the current state singles champion and has played singles for him the last couple of years. So for me, I'm predicting them to go to finals too. Yeah, they're going to be a formidable team, that's for sure.
Agree, mate.
Right. The third team we're going to speak about in section one is Traralgon. They missed the finals last year, but they are former finals. They actually made the finals when they hosted it down at Traralgon there at VBL4. Their team consists of Matt Ferrari, Vinnie McElwain, Nathan Murray, James Pearce, and Jay by Norris. Now, I made a little faux pas there because I mentioned Matt Ferrari. He is a late out, and they have brought in 15-year-old young junior superstar Harry Coleman, and he's coming into the side.
He's a good mate of mine, Matty Ferrari, but that's arguably an upgrade for this Traralgon Lyrebird side, mate. Cracking little player is Harry Coleman. Great to see him dominating at the moment and getting far. I was a runner-up in the Junior Golden Nugget recently as well, so in some red-hot form. Any team that loses a player of Todd Trewarn's calibre we spoke about earlier, it's going to be tough for them to back up. But to bring in someone of Jay by Norris's calibre, who has obviously won everything as a singles player down here in Victoria before he's moved up to New South Wales. They're going to be stronger. They've got some really good Premier League talent in there in James Pearce. Nathan Murray is now at Port Melbourne, but has played a lot of games in Premier League in Melbourne. If they were in any other section, I'd be tipping them to get through, mate. But I just think they are in a big uphill struggle in this section against the two teams who've already gone through. But very plucky team that can cause an upset quite easily.
I'm not as convinced about who the singles player is either, Jimmy. Yeah, I mean, Jay By Norris has an amazing record in singles, but at the same time, Nathan Murray tends to play his best bowls in singles. So it'll be interesting to see which way the team goes. They could go either way. Again, I've obviously made the first two teams' predictions and making them to play finals, so which means I think Traralgon's going to miss out, unfortunately. And I do agree, if they win another section, except for ours, they would probably get through, so.
Good call.
All right, the last team in section one, my good friends in Yarraville Footscray. They have won it before, VBL2 winners. They made the finals last year. They bring in back a fair bit of the nucleus that consists of that side. Nelson Ball, Brett Marnie, Craig Mills, Brennan Numbers, James Banks, and their import Nathan Black. An all-star lineup, Jimmy.
Yeah, correct. It's ridiculous, this section. A team that knows each other very well. Obviously, most of these players represent Yarraville Footscray and were part of that successful Premier League side last year, meaning that they'll have that sort of cohesion in their various different formats. I'm actually going to go for these guys to get out this section. I think Brett Marnie, who will play singles, is tough to beat in any singles game. This will be the fun section to watch in that singles sort of play on the live stream. But I'm going to back him to get out. I think with someone like Craig Mills and Nathan Black, and then Brendan Numbers, who I rate as a very solid player. They're going to go good. So there's my tip for these to get out of section. I'll go with them and Deer Park to get out of this one, mate.
Well, let's face it. Anyone who knows me well enough knows that I love tipping against Yarraville Footscray. It seems to irk them and really rile them up. So I'm going to be true to myself and tip them not to make the finals. And they'll probably come out and make it and do this to me, and I'll have to deal with it,
It's fair, mate. Look, I live down the road from Yarraville, so I'm going to tip them. And on my neighbourly walks, keep everyone happy. I'm walking past.
So your finalists are, Jimmy, just to recap the section.
So coming out of this one, I'll go Deer Park and Yarraville Footscray, two inner west teams.
And for me, it's Deer Park and Ocean Grove. Rightio, Jimmy, we have section two. And again, I think it's another tough section to predict. And we have Bundoora, Clayton, Dandenong, and Sunbury. We'll start with Bundoora. Made the finals last year, but quite a relatively newish looking side. They have Chris Carswell, Matty Curter, Ben MacArthur, Caleb Shaw, Liam Turner, and their star import, Corey Wedlock. How do you think they're tracking?
Yeah, good side on paper. All Metro section, this one, so teams will know each other pretty well. Matty Curter is one of my favourite players to watch, especially singles. Anything anywhere near a jack, he'll go whack at it. Probably a tough gig to knock Corey off the singles for this one, though. But I think they're looking pretty well. Benny MacArthur's played a couple of seasons in VBL in the past. Caleb Shaw played last year. So there's some experience there. They'll understand the format. A lot of them play together at Bundoora as well. So good side will have to play to the best of their ability to get out of this section, I think.
Look, any side with Corey Wedlock in it is obviously half a sniff of going well. If you saw him play in the weekend against Victoria in that test series, Aaron Wilson had him playing third, and it's the best third in the country. You can't get a better luxury than that. He's that good, you know. So I will save my predictions to the end of the four teams for this particular section, but with the new debutants, it's going to be different to see how they're going to go for sure. So,
great.
All right, the second team we're going to look at is Clayton. They made the finals last year. The team consists of Ali Forsyth, Grant Catterick, Scott Biles, Neil Devlin, Kelly McKieran, and Ben Hubber. Jimmy, what's your prediction for Clayton?
Spoke about cohesion before, mate. These guys obviously play a lot of bowls together. Most of them playing at Clayton. You got the power couple of lawn bowls in Ali and Kelly. Once again, rocking up. Kelly, who's in ridiculous form and has been for probably the last few years. Ali's superstar in his own right, can win a game with just by himself. Grant Catterick, probably, as I've described him on the live stream before, mad as a box of frogs, but what a player. Fantastic to see him go. Scotty Biles will provide bit of sort of consistency and a bit of depth to this team. And then Benny Hubber and Neil Devlin. It'd be interesting to see how Benny Hubber goes. He's played in a few different franchises across VBL now. So into his third franchise in sort of 4 iterations of VBL. So experienced player. We know what he can do. We've seen him plenty of times across the various events across the country. So good team. Again, I'm going to save my prediction for the end like you are, mate. But another one that, if they play to their potential, very difficult to beat and can go far.
So I think the loss of Ryan Burnett hurts them. He was in the side last year as their import. And I find the inclusion of Benny Hubber quite interesting. One, he's going to be playing against his pennant team, you know. Why isn't he playing in their VBL side? I mean, that could open up a can of worms or whatever you want to call it there, Jimmy. But does make for a juicy contest when they do play against each other. But they are a good side, that's for sure. Right, the next side we're going to preview last year's runners-up, Dandenong. Obviously, they're going to be playing on their home greens for this weekend. Their players are Matty Elo, Aaron Betts, Blair Davison, Dylan Morrison, and their star import, Gary Kelly.
Yeah, went deep last year, obviously, runners-up. 2 big guns in Gary Kelly and Matty Elo. He's paid me $10 to say that, Matty. So a waning force in lawn bowls, I reckon. Nah, joking. 2 superstars, again, can win games on their own right. I like what they've done with the other players in this team. They sort of always have this type of setup in their VBL teams, do Dandenong. There's a couple of big superstar players, and then they put some local talent through. Blair Davidson, first season in VBL, but has been at Dandenong a few years ago. So very good player. Seen him win a lot. Seen him play some good bowls. And he'll go very well on the Dandenong green. Aaron Betts, haven't seen a lot of him myself, but I've seen his name going deep in a lot of Sandbelt events. And Dylan Morrison, another solid player. So I like the look of this, the way they've set this up. You know that Gary will play singles. You know that Lala will skip the 4s. You know that they'll skip the pairs and the triples. So from there, it's just sort of working out where them players fit in. I'm quite enthused by this Dandenong team, to be honest, mate. It's exciting.
Look, they're an unknown for me. There's 3 players there that I don't know a lot about, and they're all making their debut. But you've touched on it already, Jimmy. You got Gary Kelly and Matt Elo. And I was in their section last year in VBL3 and witnessed them at the finals the following weekend. And those 2 players were the catalyst for why they made the final against Deer Park last year. So they've got those pillars to help them get there. And I do see big things coming from them as well this year. Our last team we're going to wrap up here in section 2, Sunbury Extreme. Players are Mark Bellows, Bryce Young, Curtis Hanley, Brad Jenner, Sophie Kurzman, and their import is Mark Armstrong. Different side from last year too again, Jimmy. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, no Aaron T. He's obviously replaced by Mark Armstrong for this year. He's a cracking player. Like, he does very well up in Queensland for Pialba. I've seen him at Moama Pairs a few times. He's a good mate with Swanee, our mate from Moama. Goes very good. So whilst it's very difficult to replace a player of Aaron T's calibre, Mark Armstrong will go close. A couple of my sort of Melbourne teammates in there, and Bryce Young and Curtis Hanley, both cracking players on their day. Just got to get them. Almost got to be like racehorses, these 2. You put the blinkers on them, get them to focus on the weekend. Phenomenal. And they'll push Sunbury very far to getting out of this section. Brad Janner in the team, best two-fingered lawn bowler going, other than you, JT. He goes very good, this Brad Janner, and he's very consistent on indoor surfaces. I've seen him play a lot on them type of surfaces, and at Dandenong, he'll be a weapon for them. And then local players and Sophie Kurzman, again, young superstar, rising in the game. That's probably Rose at this point as well. So she'll just sort of allow them to probably be a bit calmer on the rink, I assume. There's a couple of fiery personalities in that team, but she'll calm it down for them. Will go good. Will they get out this section? Probably yes, is my sort of tip. I'll go for them and Clayton to nip out this. Oh, sorry, them and Dandenong to get out this section, mate.
No worries. Well, so here's one thing. You mentioned obviously Noah and Tishishi, but there's another integral player to this side, why I think they made the finals last year, which was Dylan Fisher. He's obviously gone to Tasmania. They can only have the one import, and obviously Mark Armstrong is that guy. Look, any side that's got Bryce Young in it, he had a re-inclusion in the Victorian state side, which played on the weekend. He played third to Brad Pavey in the rink that was the best performed rink for the weekend. So we know Bryce is a gun. He plays big bowls when it matters. He's going to help them. But for me, and this is where I'm going to go out here in terms of these predictions, this is one of the hardest sections to predict. I wouldn't be surprised if any of the sides finish first, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of the sides finish fourth. That's how close I think this section is. However, for me, I have Bundoora missing out, and I have Clayton and Dandenong making the finals.
Fair enough. Well, we'll be proven right this time next week, mate. And I'll be able to get stuck into you when I've got more tips right again.
Thinking you get more tips than me is a faux pas, Jimmy. You've done it maybe once over the few years, and I'm pretty sure I got on top of you one other year, so.
You got on top of me once. Mate. So I'm comfortable in my predictions here, and I'll see you next week to gloat.
Cool. Look, that concludes our first preview show of VBL4. Again, a big thank you to our presenting partner for this event, Greenline. There will be a second preview show for Section Weekend 2. Jimmy will be still involved in that. I get the sack for that one because it involves a section I'm in, so I can't go and talk about my own side or roll up the opposition that I'm potentially going to play against. That weekend, Section 3 and 4 will be played at Club Barham on the weekend of Friday the 22nd and Saturday the 23rd of August. Big thank you to Jimmy for joining me again on BVTV.
All good, mate. Appreciate it. It's good to be back. And the season's about to start. Everyone's coming back to their clubs when VBL's around. So, not long till the pennant season kicks off. And this is just a great way of showcasing some of the best talent that we've got in Victoria, as well as a sprinkling of some of the best from around the country as well.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.